So, welcome to what we're going to call Built to Scale, where recruitment meets operations. I'm Kristen, and I am a talent acquisition specialist here at Diamond Accelerator, and I help businesses do more than just make a hire. We make sure they hire the right people in the right roles so the business can actually grow. I'm joined today by the amazing Amanda and Brittany, two exceptional operations consultants who help companies build systems that scale, streamline all of those processes, and protect both the people and that profit. So, most people don't realize, honestly, how closely recruitment and operations work together. You have cannot have one succeed without the other one. The right hire only succeeds if the system is ready to support them, and the strong systems only succeed when the right people are in place. So, today we're going to talk about where recruitment and operations intersect, common post-hire mistakes, and how smart systems protect leaders, people, and that bottom line. So first and foremost, let's get started with operations. Amanda, you've seen it all when businesses scale, hiring, systems, burnout. We'll kick things off with a couple of big picture questions for you. So, from an operations standpoint, where do you most often see businesses break down after they've made a hire? And what systems need to be in place before recruiting so that new team members can actually improve performance instead of adding to the complexity?
So this is such an important question and something that I see every day on a daily basis because most businesses assume the hard part is finding the right person. And in reality, the breakdown almost always happens after the hire. From an operational standpoint, the most common place I see businesses break down is not that that they're not hiring the right person, it's that there's ambiguity. The role exists in somebody's head, but it's not in a system, and roles and responsibilities are not clearly defined. So when a new hire walks in, motivated, capable, but there's no clear definition of what success for that business actually looks like, there are no clear outcomes. There are no ownership boundaries, decision-making authority. And what happens in that scenario is that hiring somebody doesn't remove complexity, they actually add to it. And the owner or leader then spends their time answering questions, correcting work, stepping back in, and emotionally managing the role. And that's when you hear, oh, it was just easier if I did it myself. Or I hear owners all the time. They're like, well, they just don't do it right, so I do it myself. And that's not a people problem. That's really an operational failure. And another big breakdown point is that businesses hire to relieve pressure, not to solve the defined problem. They're overwhelmed, they're behind, they're stretched thin. So they bring in somebody hoping that person will wave a magic wand and take things off their plate. But without those systems and processes in place, hiring actually increases your cognitive load as an owner or an operator. Every new person introduces more communication, more decisions, and even more variability. If the business is not designed to absorb that, then performance really declines instead of improving. So, what I always tell my clients is that before recruiting, there are a few non negotiable systems that we need to have in place. First, there has to be role clarity at the outcome level. And that's not just a task level. This means being able to clearly articulate what success looks like in this role. Will that be true in 30, 60, 90 days? Not a long list of duties, but actual outcomes. I see that when they're going to show up to work and they're going to do their job, but if they don't have expectations and clarity, then the owner's going to get frustrated because they're not succeeding to some clearly undefined role and level that they want. Second, there needs to be a repeatable onboarding and training framework. And I don't just mean shadowing and watch how we do it. I mean documented processes, clear workflows, and really defined standards so that training lives in people's, like when people are just saying, oh, I have this all, it's in my head, it creates inconsistency and burnout. So write down and create systems for everything that you do. This is going to protect both the business and the employee because it really removes the guesswork. And third, you need decision filters before you hire. Every role should have clarity around decisions and what decisions can they make independently, what requires approval, what decisions should never reach the owner. Without that, every small decision bubbles up and builds, and that's where leaders get trapped in the weeds. And then the last one that I is an absolute must, there has to be operational alignment between recruitment and reality. So if you hire someone for a role that doesn't yet have those systems, support, and the infrastructure behind it, you're setting them up for failure. Great people don't thrive in chaos. They leave or they disengage. So when recruitment is working really well, it's not because the hire was so exceptional. It's because the business was ready to support them. The systems were already there to catch that person. There are clear expectations and everyone is aligned, and it allows them to contribute quickly without adding friction. So at the end of the day, hiring should really reduce the complexity, not multiply it. And when businesses build the operational foundation first, recruitment becomes a growth accelerator instead of a burnout trigger.
I mean, that's a lot of information, but
Sorry,
really
it's a lot.
great insights,
Yeah.
Amanda. One thing we hear often is that business owners feel like they're constantly putting out the fires. Brittany, I'm going to pass this next one to you, but it's still a question maybe for your counterpart, Amanda, here as another operations consultant. So I'm going to let you take it away.
Yeah, I was actually about to raise my hand and ask if I can chime in here. Amanda, I mean, I have a lot of clients that I hear this all the time. They're so burned out because the owners, they feel like they're constantly having to fill gaps after they're hiring. So, like, from your perspective, like, what strong operational structures would you say protect leaders from burnout? And what is one operational framework that you think every scaling business should implement to prevent that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question. I had a very in-depth conversation last week with one of my clients on this. And the heart of burnout is that not that most people are, experience exhaustion from the work itself, but it's constantly fixing gaps that just shouldn't exist. And so I know we talk about systems a lot, but when owners are feeling burned out, especially after hiring, again, it's because we do not have any systems in place. And then they're the ones that are constantly the backstop for everything. And then they can sometimes become their own bottleneck. So clear expectations, smooth handoffs, when you're answering questions repeatedly or correcting inconsistencies and managing the emotional temperature, over
Mhm.
time, constant problem solving is far more draining than the workload ever was.
Yeah.
And so, strong operational structures really protect those leaders by removing them as the system. So, we always want to make sure that we have the operational structure and it does, three really important things. It reduces fatigue and the burnout, right? It's about how decisions are made, which without these systems, how do we handle this? Who owns this? Strong operations answer those questions in advance. It also creates like a psychological safety for the team. We always want to make sure that we are checking the temperature when people know what's expected and how success is measured. That's where people are more confident and less reactive. I see this across the board, and it really removes a huge emotional burden from owners and managers. And then if I had to recommend one operational framework that every scaling business should really implement early on, it's we need to define roles by three things: the outcome it owns, the process it follows, and the decisions that make it independent versus what gets escalated. So when those things are clear, problems stop flowing uphill and people really stay in their lane and leaders stop being that default solution. burnout decreases. And so don't wait until you're exhausted to build structure. Build it early while you still have time and clarity and breathing room and energy, because this doesn't just support growth, it really protects you guys as the owners and managers to keep building and scaling.
Such an amazing perspective. Building systems up front doesn't just protect the team, it protects those leaders that you're talking about too. Now we're going to shift to the financial side of hiring decisions. Brittany, you work a lot with owners on protecting margins while still building the right team. So, from your perspective, and a financial standpoint, what recruiting mistake most often leads to long-term margin compression in med spas? And what operational guardrails can we put up to prevent that type of outcome?
That's a great question. So from a financial standpoint, the most common recruiting mistake I see in med spas is always it's hiring providers too early and it's at too high of a guaranteed cost before the patient demand is proven. And when that happens, payroll stops being a variable and it becomes fixed. It becomes heavy. And once it's a fixed, heavy, that margin compression is almost inevitable, even if the top line revenue grows. So the issue really isn't talent, it's timing and structure. If demand hasn't been validated, that provider immediately raises the clinic's break-even point and puts pressure on discounting, promotions, and overbooking just to cover the payroll. So what prevents this is it's not hiring slower, it's hiring smarter with guardrails. So before adding a provider, we should be able to clearly show that existing providers are already running at a 70 to 80% utilization, or that we have consistent wait lists or delayed booking windows. And if that proof doesn't exist yet, that hire is too early, no matter how good the candidate is. The need just isn't there. Every provider should also have defined break even tied to their compensation. That means knowing exactly how much revenue they need to generate every month to cover their cost and contribute positively to the EBITDA, especially in that first 60, 90, 100, 180 days. Because compensation during ramp should flex with production. And the healthiest models I see are hybrid with commission weighted structures, a base and a tiered commission structure that protect the cash flow early on and reward the performance as it grows. And it's not so heavy to our payroll. Um, and finally, every hire should come with a clear, like Amanda said earlier, a clear onboarding, a clear 30, 60, 90-day expectation. And that removes that emotion that Amanda was talking about from the decision making. And it ensures that the business isn't carrying payroll when that demand hasn't yet been earned. So with those guardrails in place, hiring becomes a growth lever. And when they aren't, even great providers can quietly compress margins for years and years.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really shows how a single hiring misstep can impact the
Mhm.
entire bottom line of a med spa. So, Amanda, I'm going to let you take it here because I know you have a question for Brittany.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Keep them
building on
coming.
that, building on that, once an owner realizes that they've already made that mistake and overpaid someone or prematurely hired, we've all seen it. What financial and operational moves can they do and make without losing the employee to repair margins and protect EBITDA?
Wow, that's another great question. So once an owner realizes they've already made that mistake by overpaying or hiring prematurely, the goal is not to react emotionally because we don't want to lose them. So that's when we need to rebalance the economics without breaking the trust. So the first step with this is it's usually the schedule and utilization optimization. So before touching any compensation, we need to look at how many productive hours are actually being filled. How are bookings distributed? And whether provider time is being protected for high margin services. Because most of the time, margins can be repaired simply just by tightening schedules, reducing idle time, and aligning provider availability with peak demand. And at the same time, we focus on revenue per hour. And that means refining our consult flow, sales trainings, tightening up those treatment plans, and ensuring that our providers are consistently offering complete high value recommendations focused on maximizing their revenue and not just performing individual services to get by. And just those small lifts in their revenue per hour often have a a disproportionate impact on the EBITDA without requiring any compensation changes. So if compensation does need to be addressed, the healthiest approach, it's rarely a pay cut. It's restructuring. And that might mean shifting part of the guarantee into performance-based tiers, adding commission accelerators tied to specific revenue thresholds, or introducing temporary ramp structures that realign pay with production while preserving upside for the provider. And we also look at demand creation rather than cost reduction because targeted provider specific marketing, membership alignment, referral incentives, those are all ways that can help fill that provider's schedule faster, which is also protecting both the employee relationship and our clinic's margins. And I would say finally, expectations just need to be reset clearly and professionally. And that includes defining utilization targets, revenue goals, KPIs, timelines for improvement. And when those expectations are transparent and data driven, most strong providers actually feel more secure and supported, and they don't feel threatened because they understand exactly how success is measured. So when it's handled this way, margin repair becomes a collaborative recalibration and not a corrective action. The EBITDA is protected, the provider feels supported, and the business regains control without that unnecessary turnover.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree with you more. And
Yeah.
it's honestly a perfect example of why recruitment and operations need to work hand in hand. And that's exactly what we do here at Diamond Accelerator. So all the people who are listening right now, and the people who are joining us, I hope you can attest to how incredible these two people are and where I come in on the recruitment side. So let's talk a little bit about my favorite department, where the right people in the right roles make all of what you guys just said, the systems function properly. So I'm going to have you guys put me on the spot and ask me some questions that I know everybody in the audience is dying to hear about what we do in recruitment.
You know what? I'm going to throw it at you right now on the spot. In your role as a recruiter, how do you see recruitment impacting operational success in a scaling business?
Oh, well, you don't hold back, do you, Brittany?
Nope, right at you.
All right. Well, recruitment isn't just about filling the roles, just like we've always said. It's about building the foundation of your business. Every hire touches your system, your team, and your results. So if someone isn't set up for success, it creates a bottleneck. It's the frustration that's going to come on, and even the margin pressure that we don't want to have goes on straight away. So our approach in recruitment is really strategic from day one. We work with leadership of the med spa to define what success looks like if it's an injector or if it's a leader that they need as a practice manager or any other role that we're looking for. Before we even start sourcing, we've got to get on that same page. So that way, when this person joins the team, they immediately contribute and support those existing systems that you have all worked so hard to put in place instead of adding it to the frustration and the complexity and just making everything harder. So, simply put, great operations can't fix the wrong hire, and the right hire can't thrive without a system structure. That's why recruitment and operations have got to collaborate, and it's how scaling businesses and what you guys are talking about actually succeed.
Hmm.
All
So,
right, so now let's talk about results. Getting new hires to actually deliver and stay aligned with the company's goals. Like we see this all the time. So, Kristen, once a company has made the hire, how do we ensure that these new team members actually deliver results and stay aligned with the business and the financial goals? Like, talk
yeah,
to us about that.
it's a great question. All right. So getting someone in the door is just step one. Alignment, that onboarding and training and clarity are what turn a hire into a driver of results, is what I like to say. So from recruitment, we make sure every hire understands their role, their priorities, and how their work impacts the business. We provide leadership in the med spa with the right people in the right roles so the system can function smoothly. And the team can hit those goals without any friction. We want everybody to be set up for success. And this is where we make the biggest impact, placing talent that's ready to perform and grow within the existing system. When recruitment and operations combine, like this, scaling becomes not only possible, but completely somewhat predictable as well. So it's a beautiful relationship. So anyway, great questions. Thanks, guys. I could talk forever, as you both know. So it really shows practical insights from operations and recruitment and how beautifully they can make a business scale so effortlessly and efficiently if it's done the right way. So amazing.
Let's see. Do we have any questions from the audience? Let's see. Hi, Dr. Brad. Nice to see you. Tia, Jacqueline, Jules. We have Mercedes, Pablo, tons of Instagram followers.
So exciting. We
Yes.
see you. We know you got the questions too. Now's your time.
So we are open to a few live questions if we have a few more minutes. Let's see.
Well, gosh, there's a lot of people watching us right now. My
Yeah,
goodness.
we have a whole bunch.
Yeah.
All righty. So if we don't have any more questions, we will just say thank you all for joining us today. We always want to hear from you. Scaling is not just about hiring more people, it's about hiring smart and building those strong systems and protecting your team and your margins. So keep these ideas in mind as you grow your business. And remember that recruitment and operations succeed best when they work together. So one more thing before we go, if you loved this training, make sure you share it with your team or another med spa that could benefit from it. You can always catch the replay on our YouTube channel. To get access to more free training that will help you grow your med spa, join us, visit our link tree in our social bio, and be sure to join us live every Wednesday at 2:30 Central Time. Same time, same place, and find us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I want to thank my partners today, Kristen and Brittany, for sharing their insights. And thank you to everyone watching live. We'll see you guys next week.